Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Well, we are focusing on women 45 plus. We know women at that age start entering perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. While we are talking about how homeopathy can help with menopause relief with Sarah. Sarah is a natural menopause expert as well as a homeopath, joining me live from UK. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Amita.
Absolutely. Let's just start with a little bit about you. What made you go into this particular area of menopause? And then we talk about homeopathy and beyond.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I guess my story starts with my own perimenopause. Of course, it's often, one's own suffering that takes you into these things. And at 45, I was in my second career. I was in a very demanding career as a corporate management consultant. I had a toddler as well, because I had a child at 41. And I started feeling awful, like super tired, really weak. I couldn't get up the stairs without, there's two flights of stairs here. I couldn't get up the stairs without stopping 2 or 3 times. I was having serial infections. My memory wasn't working. I was dropping the ball at work. And probably the biggest issue was that I got so anxious. So I was becoming anxious about things that had never made me anxious before. I was getting anxious about things I could do in my sleep before. And I just put it down to stress and having a lot on my plate. And I had never heard of perimenopause. It wasn't even on my radar. And I didn't know that perimenopause started in your 40s while you still have a period. So I was like many women are now, about 83% of women, they say, don't know this stuff about perimenopause. And so it really is like a bit of a hidden saboteur. But because I was feeling so ill, Amita, what I did was I went to see a homeopath. And the results were so amazing that I thought, oh my goodness, I have to study this. So I left my career as a management consultant and I went and did a 3-year degree in homeopathic medicine. And then I started specializing in menopause itself as to do it naturally, help other people.
Okay. Then I think let's just talk about homeopathy first. And then the second question is, how does homeopathy give relief to women going into perimenopause and menopause?
Yeah, good idea. So it's good to explain homeopathy first because many people are unfamiliar with what it means. In fact, many people think that homeopathy just means herbs and supplements and diet, which it's not that. I mean, we may add that in, but homeopathy is a distinct system of medicine that is different from herbal medicine. It's different from Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine or naturopathy. And what homeopathy does is we give nanodoses of natural substances that are designed to stimulate the person's self-healing and immune system. So in fact, the healing is not being done by the pill itself. The healing is being done by the body itself. What the pill does is it triggers the self-healing system. So it's a bit like vaccination, but it's very gentle, it's very natural, has no side effects. And actually it's the second most popular system of medicine after mainstream. It's used by something like 200 or 300 million people in the world. And it can be used for everything from physical stuff like bruises and coughs and colds and flus and to more chronic stuff like asthma. It can be used for viral or bacterial infections. It can be used for psychological and emotional stuff like trauma and anxiety and depression. So that's homeopathy. So when it comes to menopause, I've used it successfully for many, many symptoms. I mean, on my list, my growing list of menopause symptoms, I'm so far at about 52 possible symptoms for menopause and perimenopause, but I've used it successfully with that exhaustion that I went through that often hits women in perimenopause. I've used it for the anxiety and the panic attacks very successfully, for sleep issues. I see my own homeopath, and in my own menopause journey, I've struggled with insomnia, and the homeopathy has really, got my sleep back, which has been amazing. It helps with mood swings and headaches and night sweats and hot flushes. So, I won't go through all 50 symptoms, but it helps.
Okay, so what we want to do is validate that homeopathy with some kind of a case studies or some kind of one of your client case studies that maybe you can talk about a couple of clients and
Yeah,
their
yeah.
journey with us and what is it that we did, and that would help us more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to call her Virginia. It's not her real name, but just to protect her her identity. When she came to me, she was doing what I call postmenopausal adrenal fatigue. She was exhausted. And in fact, the test showed that she was on the edge of burnout. Her cortisol, her adrenals, they were really, really shot. She was like on the floor. And she was in a position that many women are at this age. This is kind of a midlife thing. It's like our generation often called the sandwich generation. It's because they're sandwiched between still having children at home. She also had an elderly sick mother at home, and she was running her own business. And she was on the floor. She wasn't sleeping well. She was very irritable with her husband. She was also very anxious. She had no boundaries whatsoever. She found it very difficult to say no to demanding clients, or no to the family that were making demands of her. She had headaches, neck ache, shoulder ache. She had what was being called sciatica, but I think was a gallbladder, hip and thigh pain. What else did she have? Oh, she had hair loss, so she was losing her hair. And we basically approached it with the way I do in that particular program, which is an integration of testing, hormonal testing, nutrition with a nutritionist that I work with, and homeopathy. And that together, all those things went. She started sleeping again. She was getting much better at saying no. She actually managed to shift her mother to make other arrangements for her mother, rather than being the only one in the family that was burdened with her care. And she's even her hairdresser started remarking on the fact that her hair was growing again, and she got rid of the anxiety and the irritability. So that's one case study. Another one that's quite interesting is somebody who I'll call Mary. And what was interesting about her is that I identified pretty quickly, had liver issues. So she came to me with perimenopausal rage and migraines. Now, before her 40s, she had had the rage and the migraines before her period only. So, as all homeopaths do, I said to her, listen, when did these headaches and mood issues start, before your periods? And she said, oh, it was about 20 years ago. And I said, so what happened 20 years ago? She said, well, I was treated for acne, and I was treated with the birth control pill, with lots and lots of antibiotics, and with a very powerful drug called rowacatane. And one of the side effects of rowacatane is it can be depression. So then she was put on antidepressants. So this made me conclude as a homeopath that her liver was overloaded with all those drugs that had been through it, and that we weren't going to get anywhere if we didn't clear the liver. So I started her on homeopathic detox of the liver. And she sent me an email 10 days later. She said, oh my goodness, this has been a roller coaster. She said, after 5 days, I broke out in boils. Now, as a homeopath, that's a really good sign, because that shows that the toxins in the liver are moving to the skin. Then the boils cleared, and she said, now I feel like a completely different person. It cleared both the migraines and the rage. And I was only just starting the treatment with her. So those are a couple of stories of cases.
Okay, so my question is, this is incredible, but my question is that, did you treat these women with only like one homeopathic remedy, or there were multiple remedies? I mean, we don't want to know the exact medicine name, but we just want to understand on a high level, was there any exercise or diet and homeopathy? It was an integrative approach. Do you want to expand a little bit on that?
Yes, it's a good question. So So what happens when you see a homeopath is, I always tell people, it's very different from mainstream medicine. When you see a doctor, mainstream medicine works according to the principles mainly of one diagnosis equals one pill. So if you go to the doctor and you ask for help with menopause, the main thing that you'll be given is HRT. It might be slightly different doses or slightly different, you know, like get given some progesterone or some estrogen gel, but it's mainly one thing. Whereas with homeopathy, you know, there are 550 homeopathic medicines for hot flushes alone. So the way that we work in homeopathy is it's a journey. It's not an event. So you get an intake session for 2 hours where I take all your symptoms, mental, physical, emotional, all your emotional and your medical history and your ancestral history. And then I prescribe for where you are right now. Once that remedy's done its work, then the next layer will come up and you'll show a different remedy state. So you will progress through different remedies. And I use different methods for different people. So with Virginia that I talked about, I think I did a triad method which is where we were treating, one remedy was for inherited stuff, one remedy was for her physical and emotional symptoms, and the third remedy was to support her adrenal glands, which were really under pressure. So does that gives you a bit of an idea as to how it worked with the homeopathic process. Now, I have 2 programs, but in this program, which is the treatment program, you also, when you've done the Dutch test, which is a very advanced hormone test, then you see the nutritionist I work with, and she, looking at your diet, your health history, and your lifestyle, will look at what is the best nutrition for you, given what your test results show, and what your symptoms are. And she and I talk to each other. On another program, I do group work where you learn, you know, the best diet, sleep tips, exercise for your energy level, and stress reduction techniques. And then you're given more of a broader spectrum combination homeopathic remedy to help generally with the settling the hormones.
Okay, no, I think that makes sense. And then the last question is, how much time did it take, right? Because menopause and perimenopause, these symptoms, I was reading online, they can last for years. It's not just like, right? It's almost like a chronic condition, that a chronic condition phase that women go through at that time. So how much time is she still on homeopathy medication, or did she take it for a few months? What was how did you manage that?
Yeah. So that's a very good point. You know, they say the average length of menopause symptoms, and like 80% of women have menopause symptoms, is 10 years from peri to post. So that's why when I see people on a treatment program, I see them for a minimum of 6 months. I would probably sell more programs if I said 3 months, but it doesn't feel in integrity to me to say that, because often the menopause symptoms are or let me put this another way, what happens in menopause, in my view, is anything that's unresolved in your system, be it physical, like for me it was digestive weaknesses, or be it emotional, like you have trauma in your history, or you have, you know, relationship history issues and poor boundaries. They all come up like this in menopause. So it takes time to work through all that, because they've taken a lifetime to actually develop and get you to that point, if that makes sense. So I would say a minimum of 6 months. The woman you said, is she still seeing me? She saw me for the 6-month program. She was in a pretty good space, but she wanted to do a bit more. So she did a bit more homeopathy. I don't see her now. So I see some people anywhere from kind of 6 to 9 months. Some people want to keep going because they find that it's helping them grow emotionally. So for me, I see a homeopath every month, and I have done for 10 or 12 years, because it also helps with personal development. You know, they say there are 3 levels of healing in homeopathy. There's curing illness, there's creating health, which means strengthening your vitality and reducing your susceptibility to disease and increasing your longevity. And then there's a level of fulfillment where it gets you more on your life path. You know, have had people who maybe they'd come to me for, you know, past clients, not menopause clients, but they've come to me for, say, irritable bowel syndrome. I can think of one woman who came for irritable bowel syndrome, and she ended up, she was working in fashion PR. She ended up retraining to be a psychotherapist, you know, so it got her on track as well with her life path. Does that make sense?
Well, no, I think this is great. I just wanted to talk about some of the stories, real stories, you know, how women have got relief using homeopathy, and that's what we wanted to bring today. Well, thank you so much for joining. This is a quick 10-minute session that we bring on a daily basis, giving hope. And we are, Narishak is focusing on women 40 plus. So all the topics from now on, we will be talking only on women's health. With that, thank you so much. And thank you, Sarah, for being with me. And
would it be good for me to tell people where they can find me?
Oh, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Yes. So just go to my website, which is www.thrivehomeopathy.com, thrivehomeopathy.com. And I'm on LinkedIn a lot as Sarah Davison.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, you're welcome to